What's up, Broncos Country? Are you ready for what I'm about to tell you? Because what's happening in Denver isn't normal. It's not a coincidence. And it's definitely not luck. We're witnessing something that could go down in the NFL. Record books, and I'm not exaggerating one bit. The Denver Broncos defense is playing at such an absurd level that the numbers seem fake. Opposing quarterbacks are having nightmares. Entire offensive lines are being humiliated. And the best part? The season has barely started. Stick with me until the end of this video, because you're going to understand why this defense could break records that have stood untouched for over 60 years. Hit play and come with me. Look, Denver Broncos family, let's start with the numbers because they speak for themselves. Through 6 weeks of the season, the Broncos have already racked up 30 sacks. 30! That's right, you heard it. And you know what that means? That number is tied for the highest total through the first 6 weeks since 1963. Let me repeat that. Since 1963. We're talking over 60 years ago. But wait, there's more. The Broncos are averaging 5 sacks per game. 5 sacks per game, people. That's the highest pace since that same legendary 63 season. If they maintain this pace, and look, there's no sign of slowing down, they'll finish the season with 85 sacks. The current league record? 72. They're going to absolutely destroy that record. And it doesn't stop there. Denver's defense is averaging 10.5 QB hits per game. That's the highest number since the year 2002. And on third down, which is that moment in the game where everything is decided, where the quarterback needs to make it happen, or the drive dies right there. The Broncos are allowing conversions on just 27.2% of attempts. That number puts them as the 9th best third down defense of the modern era. Now you must be wondering, but how? How is this defense managing to dominate like this? Well, let's talk about the names that are making all this destruction happen. Nick Bonito. You need to remember this name. The guy is leading the entire NFL with 8 sacks through 6 games. 8 sacks. And I'm not talking about lucky sacks, quarterbacks tripping over their own feet. I'm talking about an edge rusher who is absolutely destroying offensive tackles every single week. Jonathan Cooper himself openly declared that Bonito is the best pass rusher in the NFL. And look, Cooper isn't just anybody to be saying that. Bonito has 25 quarterback pressures, and his pressure percentage is around 31.4%. To give you an idea of how absurd that number is, if he maintains this pace through the end of the season, it'll be the highest pressure percentage of any player since they started measuring these statistics. It's no wonder he's on pace to finish the season with 24 sacks, which would be a new absolute league record. But don't think it's just Bonito carrying this piano alone. Jonathan? Cooper is forming a lethal duo with him. Cooper also has 2.5 sacks on the season, but his contribution goes way beyond that. In Week 6, against the Jets in London, the guy had 7 quarterback pressures. 7. It was so much domination that he was named the AFC Defensive Player of the Week. And here's something interesting. Cooper has the fastest get-off average among all defenders with at least 10 quarterback pressures. He gets off the line in 0.69 seconds. The guy is a rocket. Last season, Cooper and Bonito did something that hadn't happened in Denver since 2018. Both finished with double-digit sacks. Cooper closed with 10.5, Bonito with 13.5. The last time that happened was with Von Miller and Bradley Chubb. We're talking legendary names, Denver Broncos family. Now let's talk about Zach Allen, because this guy deserves his own chapter. Allen plays interior defensive line, and everyone who understands football knows it's much harder for an interior guy to rack up sacks. After all, he's right there in the middle of the battle, having to deal with the center and guards, often getting double-teamed. But even so, Allen is putting up absurd numbers. Last season, Allen registered 67 quarterback pressures. You know how many pressures the second-place defensive tackle had? Way less. Allen led all interior. Defensive lineman in pressures. He had 40 QB hits and was named second team All-Pro. Because of all that, last month he signed a 4-year contract extension worth $102 million. And here's what's interesting. Even getting all that money, he still wants more. Allen made it clear he wants to reach double-digit sacks this season. And the coolest part? His own teammates. Believe it. Cooper said that Allen not only plays well, but he's a workaholic, always looking to improve. And you take the talent he already has, the work ethic. There's no reason he can't reach double digits. Allen already has 1.5 sacks this season and is constantly eating double teams to free up. John Franklin Myers is another name that needs to be on the radar. He arrived in the offseason and has already fit perfectly into the scheme. Against the Bengals, he had 5 pressures. Against the Jets, 5 more. The guy is producing consistently and giving that depth that every elite defense needs to have. And there are more people on this roster. DJ Jones is doing fundamental work on the interior. Malcolm Roach is coming back from injury and will add even more firepower. This defense has depth, family. It's not 1 or 2 guys carrying the team. It's an entire roster of elite players. Now, let's talk about the brain behind this whole operation. Vance Joseph, the Broncos' defensive coordinator, is doing masterful work. And the most impressive part? He's doing it by sending fewer blitzes than last season. Last season, Denver had one of the highest blitz percentages in the league at 36.2%. This year, 27.3%. They're blitzing way less, but at the same time, they're playing way more man coverage. Last season, it was 34.2% man. This year, 63%. It's a giant philosophical change. What Joseph is doing is using creative alignments and formations to create favorable matchups without needing to send 5 or 6 guys. At the quarterback, he puts 6, 7, sometimes even 8 players on the line of scrimmage before the snap to simulate pressure. The quarterback and offensive line get completely lost trying to identify who's coming and where they're coming from. And at the snap, often it's just 4 rushers, but 4 rushers in perfect matchups. Against the Eagles in a game that was a true clinic in defensive coordination, Joseph showed pressure looks in 13 third-down situations. The Eagles committed 2 false starts out of pure nervousness. In the other 11 plays, the Broncos got 3 sacks, 5 pressures, and held the offense to 3 of 8 passes completed with only 2 first downs. And you know how many times Joseph actually sent more than 4 rushers? Once. 1 time against the Bengals, it was even more absurd. There was a moment when 4 Bengals players tried to block Zach Allen, while Bonito and Cooper came through free. 3 against 6, and the 3 won. It's math that doesn't make sense, but it's happening week after week. Joseph explained his philosophy on how to blitz in modern football. The ball comes out too fast. There's too much passing game. So the secret is finding pressures that can get home with 4 or 5 players and still have good coverage behind. That's the game plan every week. And it's not just pressure. The Broncos secondary is playing at another level. 2. Pat Surtain is anchoring everything in coverage. When you have a shutdown corner of his caliber, you can do crazy things with the front 7 because you know that if the ball goes to his side, the receiver isn't going to win. The coverage is holding up long enough for the pass rushers to get home. Speaking of the defense's overall numbers, the Broncos are first in the league in defensive EPA. In the last 3 games combined, they've allowed just 31 points, 31 in 3 games since the start of the 2024 season until now. The Broncos have 22 more sacks than any other team in the league. 22. That game against the Jets in London was especially brutal. The Broncos tied the franchise record with 9 sacks in a single game. 9. 8 different players got in on the action. The Jets finished the game with 82 total yards and negative 10 passing yards. That's right, negative passing yards. When Bonito heard that stat after the game, he could only laugh. and said he was shocked. But Denver Broncos family, let's be honest here. This season didn't start perfect. Remember Week 2 against the Colts? It was a disaster. The Colts had 4 plays of at least 40 yards. To give you an idea, Denver had only allowed 8 such plays in the entire 2024 season. It was a slap in the face, a reality check. But you know what? Elite teams do. They adjust, they learn, and that's exactly what happened. Since that horrible game against the Colts, this defense hasn't been the same. They completely flipped the switch. Benito admitted after that game that they had a lot of mental errors, things that kept boiling over and kind of led to the defeat, and that they needed to be better than that. And they were. Man, how the turnaround started the next game. Then came the Bengals. Then the Eagles, who were Super Bowl champions. And then the Jets in London. 4 straight wins with the defense absolutely dominating everything. Head coach Sean Payton, who's known for the explosive offenses he's created throughout his career, suddenly finds himself with a defensive-minded team. When asked if he thinks the team has a defensive personality, Payton went straight to it and said absolutely. He explained that it's been the defense saving the team in critical situations against the Jets on the last drive of the game. With 1st and 10 and almost 2 minutes on the clock, the defense simply said, "It's not happening." They forced an incomplete pass and got 2 sacks in the next 4 plays, including a shared sack on 4th and 8 that killed any Jets' hopes. That kind of closer mentality is what separates good defenses from elite defenses. Hey, Denver Broncos family, if you're enjoying this content, subscribe to the channel right now. Turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Broncos Country can't miss a single play of this historic season, so click down there and be part of this family. Now let me tell you something you might not want to hear, but it needs to be said. Yes, this defense is playing at a historic level. Yes, the numbers are absurd, but defenses don't win Supers Bowls alone. The Broncos offense is improving, but we still have ups and downs. That said, having a defense at this level gives you a chance in any game. It doesn't matter who's on the other side. It could be any quarterback in the league. This defense has the ability to make any of them have a bad day. And in football, especially in the playoffs, a dominant defense can be the difference between watching the Super Bowl from your house and playing in it. One thing that gets me excited is seeing that this defense isn't satisfied. After getting 9 sacks against the Jets, after holding them to negative passing yards, the guys weren't celebrating like they'd won the Super Bowl. They were already thinking about the next game. That's championship mentality. And speaking of the ultimate goal, let's dream a little here. What if this defense actually breaks the sack record? What if Benito finishes with more than 22 sacks? What if the Broncos make the playoffs with this defense? Playing at this level, man, anything can happen. Absolutely anything. In the playoffs, the game gets slower, more physical, more grinded out. Defenses dominate even more. If the Broncos can get there and this defense is healthy and in rhythm, they're going to be a nightmare for any opponent. Nobody's going to want to face them in an elimination game. So Broncos Country, what did you think? Are you excited about this historic defense we're seeing? Do you think the Broncos will break the sack record? Will Benito break Strahan's record? Comment down below. I want to know everyone's opinion. This season is being special. Family. After difficult years, after rebuilding, we finally have something real to get excited about. An elite defense, a competitive team, an organization that's doing things the right way. Enjoy every second of this, because it doesn't happen all the time. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed the content. Share it with that friend of yours who's Broncos Country too. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, click down there now. See you in the next video with more analysis, more reaction, more everything about our Denver Broncos. Until then, family, Broncos Country, let's go all out. Go Broncos.